How's it going, guys? Kevin back at you with another video. In today's video, we're going to be upgrading the shocks on our RocHobby Ridge Racer U4. This should also work for the other version whose name I forget. But essentially, I'm taking the Traxxas UDR suspension, and I'm going to be putting it on the U4 now. When I first drove this, I felt like the suspension was a little bit twitchy, and it was almost too fast and not scale-like, whereas with the UDR, you kind of see it wallow over the bumps and the body stays perfectly level. With this, I felt like it was a little bit too busy. So I'm going to take them out, see if I can tell any differences between the two. I may end up taking the shocks apart as well, so you guys can potentially see that. And then I'm definitely going to take it for a rip and we'll see how it feels differently. And then another video, I'm likely going to be trying to put either 1 million weight or possibly 2 million weight diff fluid in the rear to see if I can try to lock that diff to have it drive more like the UDR. So with that, let's get into it. All right, so starting off here, we're gonna start on the rear. This is super simple. Basically, just take these nuts off here on the top, and then the two M3 bolts on the bottom. These slide out, shocks should come right out. And then I'm gonna replace them with the appropriate longer versions from the Traxxas UDR. The differences, there are minor differences in length, so I'll show you that once I have them out. And then in the front, similar story here. We have a bolt on the front. I believe that goes through the whole way to the rear. And then again, just our lock nuts on the top to remove those and replace them with the new suspension. So with that, let's get into it. So as you can see here, we have the rear off. The versions with the springs are all gonna be the same shorter length, so no worries about that. But you're gonna have a longer damper or a shorter damper. And you can see on the UDR shocks, they actually have a longer travel distance. So I may end up removing these or lengthening these just to get a little bit more down travel out of the suspension. It depends what the actual drive shaft and everything can handle, but that may be something I want to try to test out because that may be part of the key for why I think the UDR drives a little bit better, because maybe it's got a little bit more droop in the suspension. So I'm gonna grab these two, throw them on the rear, and then we'll jump onto the front once the rear's done. So a minor correction here, there's a small M3 bolt and then there's a pin here that you need to push out from the back. There's a small hole on the back side, so you just need something small to push that pin through, and that will allow you to remove the two lower pieces. And then on the top, same with the lock nuts, just take the lock nuts off and it'll come right off. And just like that, we have them swapped over. It's a super easy conversion. Everything looks like it works really nice. So just playing around with them, it seems like the stock shocks are actually a little bit stiffer. Seems like the Traxxas UDR ones might be a little bit softer, the springs. As far as travel goes, it also looks like the travel is a little bit longer on the UDR shocks. We'll see if that's true for front and rear. Looks like that's true for both front and rear. So will be interesting to see how that actually plays out, if we get to use all that extra travel or not. I think in the rear we might, the front we might still be restricted, but we'll have to go try it out. But for now, leaving everything on the soft settings, and we're gonna go take it for a rip, and I'm gonna see how it feels. Nice crash. So my initial impressions are it's definitely sitting lower. I need to stiffen up the shocks in the front for sure. That is one factor, but because right now it's definitely sitting lower, as you can probably tell. But I also think that the key thing that's missing, I think, is just that lock diff in the rear, because you can see how it kind of hooks up there. And I think that just has everything to do with the lock diff. It it'll find grip and it still feels a little bit twitchy. And I think that's everything to do with not having a locked diff. It definitely likes this suspension. It's doing great with it. You can see you get more of that front end leap when you have grip, you know. But you can see it's just inconsistent when it's sliding, and that's just from having the open diff in the rear. Oh, not getting out of that one. See, it wants to slide like the UDR. It really wants to. Right on the lid. Yeah, I definitely think I need to lock the diff. I gotta figure out either if I can lock it or if I have to put larger diff weight in there temporarily. And I think that will be the key thing that solves it. You can hear it even when it's sliding. You can hear that one wheel, like that time it was the inside wheel there, was spinning up. Just because it had no traction. And that just causes unpredictable slides. Not nearly as much fun as the super nice predictable slides you get out of UDR. Woo! This thing does rip with those big tires. It's crazy that it just rips through the snow like this. It's absolutely nuts. But you can see, even when it's stopping there, that's just because that inside wheel is picking up. Which might be fine for most people, but I'm not most people. I like to drift and slide. But yeah, that suspension is really, really good. The UDR shocks are so nice. I definitely think, yeah, you can see right there, I definitely think it looks and feels more like a UDR in terms of how it handles now. Just need to lock that suspension, so I'll do another run here. So I'll get some slow-mo shots as well, and then next video you're definitely going to see it with a locked diff, because at least I'm going to put 1 million weight oil in the rear, and I may see if I can create my own locker or find a locker to purchase somewhere. But let's do some slow-mo clips so you guys can see that suspension at work. So I am back just to wrap it up here. I do think that the suspension is a little bit softer now with the UDR shocks versus the stock shocks. It just feels a little bit more fluid and more like the UDR. I do think I need to increase the stiffness in the front just turn the screw collars so that way it's a little bit stiffer so it's not riding so low in the front. That'll help solve that problem. But then I really think sort of the jitteriness and sort of the twitchiness that I'm getting is just because of that rear diff in the back, and the fact that it's open. So that is definitely something I'm going to look into changing. I think that will greatly improve the sort of reliability and the consistency of driving and sliding that thing around. So I'm really looking forward to doing that mod, and I'll be sure to show you guys how the truck drives after that. So thank you guys again for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.